What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 18th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. We got a big show today. Lots of good things going on in Philly sports we'll get to in a minute. But first, I wanted to make a correction from something I said yesterday and listening back to it. J.R. Reed did not play a couple seasons with the Jets. He played a couple of games before he got cut. So I didn't want you to think he ended up playing this long career with the Jets. No, it was just a couple games, not a couple of seasons. It is Tuesday, so it's time for our dose of motivation. And I feel as though this one hits especially close to home today. And I feel like with past year anyway, a lot has been going on personally and professionally. For the past year, I've been trying to get back into running to lose some weight from COVID and things like that. And I've been battling injuries. So it's been difficult with that. And then at work, just a lot of things going on with supervisors and managers implementing things that I'm responsible for carrying out that I don't necessarily agree with, but being that is my job, I have to. So today's quote is always forward, never straight. And like I said, I think that hits close to home because throughout the running thing and whatever, I kind of went through and learned the value of stretching. Finally was able to go back and get a gym membership, start incorporating some weight training. So even though that road stopped me from going stopped me from going forward where I wanted to go, I was able to kind of pivot and go just a different way, hit the roadblock and go around. As far as work, obviously I still have my own goals and what I want to accomplish. And a lot of these things that I've been going through, again, are roadblocks that are keeping me from moving forward. But I'm still carrying them out and gaining the experience and doing whatever it is I need to do to better myself. So I really like that. I've heard that a few different places the past few weeks as well. So I don't necessarily know who to give it credit for. The one podcast I listened to, the Bostonian versus the Book, Dave Sherapan was saying it, but then I heard it a couple different places. But always forward, never straight. And I think that's important to keep your eye where you're going. And it's never going to be a straight road. So whichever way you got to go and move, and maybe you do a roundabout and you make a wrong turn and have to backtrack. But as long as you're keeping on moving forward and focused on where you want to go, you'll be all right. So that is our Tuesday motivation. Always forward, never straight. All right. Before we get into the big news, Phillies were, I guess, winded or cold it out. There's snow flurries, but I don't know if they could not have played. But anyway, there's a doubleheader today. I think they play at 3 or 4, and then the normal game out in Chicago against the White Sox. Now, the big news, if you haven't heard, the Eagles finally extended Jalen Hurts' contract. He signed a 5-year, $255 million contract. Roughly, the average salary is $51 million a year. $51 million a year. As of right now, he's the highest paid player in NFL history. That likely will change as soon as some of these other guys get their extensions done. But he's got $179 million guaranteed, and because of the way it's set up, it's definitely team-friendly. I saw some conflicting reports, and I saw something on, I think it was Adam Schefter's Twitter site, that the way the contract is structured, that there's very minimal salary cap hits, which still will allow the Eagles to make some moves in the coming years. I think they're pretty much done for this year. They might add a piece here or there. But I think that's a testament to Jalen and just his demeanor and what he wants to accomplish. He wants to win. Obviously, he wants to get paid. I mean, we're all like that. But I think he got paid in a way that's going to allow the team to be competitive and allow him to win. One interesting thing is that there's a no trade clause, and it's the first time the Eagles have ever had one. So I'm just curious to know, and maybe it'll come out once they interview Howie or Jalen, who really pushed for that, whether that was a Jalen Hurts thing or a Howie Roseman thing, because it's not something they typically do. So essentially, that means we're locked in with Jalen Hurts for the next 6 years, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's something that he proved himself. Which is what he's done his entire career, his entire life. Just proved doubters and everything wrong. How he took a gamble on him, I think he saw the writing on the wall with the Carson Wentz deal. He was able to somehow get out of the contract he had with him, and basically they've groomed Jalen to be the starting quarterback. And I mean, I think it's an amazing deal. Good for Jalen, good for the Eagles, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 years with Jalen running the show. It's one of those things, if you really think about it as Eagles fans, we have not been in a position where we've had a consistent, steady starting quarterback where we didn't necessarily have to worry about who was going to start since Donovan McNabb. I mean, if you think back between Foles and Vic and Garcia and then Wentz and then Bradford and it's been, and Foles again, it's been very, very up in the air. So to not have to worry about that as a franchise, I think is good. And it's going to allow Howie then to focus on other things. And I mean, don't get me wrong. The target is squarely on his back. He needs to perform in the draft. He needs to get these young guys in and develop them. You can't be having those first round misses. So it starts next week. It's a very crucial draft for Howie Roseman. But I mean, I think he's up to the task. I mean, let's see what he has. And a side note, I have to mention this because we spent a lot of time both on Black History Month as well as Women's History Month. Jalen Hurts' agent, Nicole Lynn, groundbreaking as an agent, working for Clutch Sports, was the one who brokered this deal. She's been breaking barriers for both people of color as well as women. So kudos and shout out to her. Great quick story because we are going to run a little bit longer today, and that's okay. But she basically took a chance. As soon as Jalen played his last college game in Oklahoma, she shot him a DM on Instagram asking if he had an agent yet. They set up an interview. He interviewed her, and the rest now, as of yesterday, is history. So kudos to Nicole Lynn for setting that up. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts on the contract. Congratulations to Howie Roseman for paying the man and being able to do it in a way that sets the Eagles up for success. Things are looking good. All right, Sixers. Wasn't necessarily the most pretty game, but it's the playoffs, so every win is a win. They did beat the Nets 96-84 in what was a defensive effort. I feel as though as well as they shot the ball on Saturday, they didn't really shoot that well, except for Tyrese Maxey, who had 33. Joe, to me, proved yesterday why he is the MVP. He only had 20 points, but he had 19 rebounds and 3 blocks. Should have been 4, but whatever. And 7 assists. Like, he was just a monster. Like, he basically was like, okay, you're going to double team me and not allow me to score? I'm going to beat you on the boards. I'm going to beat you with my defense. I'm going to pass the ball to who's open. And I think that's huge. And I think they're up 2-0 now in this series without Joe playing his best game. So you just push it and move on. And I mean, I look for Brooklyn to come out somewhat more fired up at home, but I don't know. This to me looks and smells like a sweep. Like, I can't see how. Like, I can't see the Brooklyn crowd being that into it, to be completely honest, because they obviously are a rebuilding team, and the only reason they're where they are now is because of what happened with when KD was there. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they steal one in Brooklyn, but I can't see them playing another home game in Philadelphia until the Boston series. But we'll see about that. Anyway, good win for the Sixers. 2-0. Our bet, the -2.5 games, is looking pretty good right now, barring, I'll knock on wood, barring anything crazy. But today we're going to go back to 1987. We're going to go back-to-back days with Mike Schmidt. And on this day in 1987, Mike Schmidt hit his 500th home run in Pittsburgh. And I think what a lot of people forget about that game, because I remember watching it, was that the home run won the game for the Phillies. And it was the top of the ninth. That Juan Samuel was on third. Von Hayes was on first. It was a 3-0 count. Don Robinson pitched it. Schmidt crushed it into the right field seats. And I'm sorry, the left field seats. And won the game 8-6 for the Phillies. They were down 6-5. So I think that was one of those things. Mike Schmidt, if you look at some of the things, and everybody, the same criticisms happen with Ryan Howard about how, he strikes out too much, or he does this or does this. Mike Schmidt was a pretty clutch player. Look at what he did in the 80 World Series. He did well in some of those 70s playoff series. For the most part, he was pretty clutch, just like Ryan Howard was when he was in his prime. So I think that's one of those forgotten pieces that we think about with Mike Schmidt, who at the time, everybody, because he didn't really go out of his way and he just was very businesslike, and I think he didn't really show a lot of his personality that you see now when he does the games on TV. Forget that. He was a pretty money clutch player where when the game was on the line, especially in that 80 World Series, he's the guy that you wanted at the plate. Obviously, the guy I grew up idolizing, he was my first sports hero, really. I've talked a lot about the Phillies being my first love. Love me some Schmitty. But, I mean, he was near the tail end of his career, obviously, but ended with 548 home runs. He was a 12-time All-Star, 10 Gold Gloves, 3-time MVP. So, I mean, he, to me, greatest third baseman to ever play the game, both offensively and defensively, in an era where usually it was one or the other. So, like, he had bad knees and still managed to make the best of it. Again, go listen to Harry Kalas's call. We talked about Harry last week. One of my favorite calls that Harry ever made was this 500th home run call. But again, on this day back in 1987, Mike Schmidt hit his 500th career home run in Pittsburgh off of Don Robinson, and a home run that actually went to win the game for the Phils, who were a horrible team in 1987. But enough about that. So shout out to Schmitty, one of my heroes. All right, finally, today's Eagles draft pick spotlight. We're going to spotlight James Joseph, the Phoenix City, Alabama native, was a 7th-round running back pick of the Eagles, number 187 overall in 1991 out of Auburn. Kind of one of those, let's take a chance on this guy picks. In his rookie year, he did lead the Eagles in rushing in 1991. That was the year that Randall blew out his knee. He had 440 yards. The offense was just pathetic. Did play 4 years with the Eagles, 91 through 94. Finished up with a year in Cincinnati. Didn't really get better for him after that rookie year. He ended with his career with the Eagles with 783 yards and 4 touchdowns. Added 3 receiving touchdowns. It's hard to say that he was a running back miss being a 7th-round pick, but he was one of those guys that they constantly were trying to get somebody to be the running back with Randall and those teams during that time, but didn't really work out that well for James Joseph. But I would say for a 7th-round pick, not a bad career, not a bad rookie year. I think we had high hopes after that rookie year. It could have been just we were looking for anything to put our hats on for that offense after that pathetic year. But James Joseph, 7th-round draft pick, running back out of Auburn in 1991 for the Eagles. Had a very good rookie year, and then that was it. But on this day, back in 1987, Schmidt hit his 500th career home run. Sixers up 2-0. Playing two games in Chicago today for the Phils. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts. I'm a big fan of this. We'll have more on this story as more of the details of this contract come out. But I think this is a good thing for the Eagles. And, of course, you're going to have the haters, the Cowboy fans, the Giants fans, and 49er fans who apparently hate us now too, saying, oh, you overpaid, you overdid. No, I don't think we overpaid. You paid him what he was worth. It was a market deal. But it was team-friendly in the fact that, you know what, he's not a dick like some of the other guys that want to try to get paid. He's like, yeah, pay me, but make sure I'm going to be a winner. Kind of like a Bryce Harper type deal. So we got some good quality character guys here in Philly, and I could not be happier. Let's just keep it rolling. Let's keep it going. I want to see the Sixers in that NBA Finals, so let's do it. This has been this day in Philly sports history. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. Remember, no matter what happens, always forward, never straight. Just keep moving toward that goal and you'll be fine. And until next time, I will see you when I see you.